for executive session. Is there any discussion on that? If everybody's good with that, can I have a motion on that one? Alrighty, in a second. Take your pick. All in favor? Okay, and it passes. Is there any public input for items on the agenda? No. Consent agenda approval of regular board meeting from January 13. Can I have a motion for that, please?
Make a motion.
And a second. All in favor? Alrighty. Moving right into our information section. Let's go straight to Umpqua Valley financial audit presentation. And can you all hear us okay?
Yes, now I can. I'm unmuted. The challenge of technology. Well, let's see. So this is Steve Toucher. I'm one of the owners of Umpqua Valley Financial. Let's see. I appreciate you guys selecting us as your audit firm this year. We've worked with Amanda when she was down at Port Orford School District before. I think she's a great business manager. So I would tell you that, first of all, I think you've selected a really good person to fill that slot for you this last year.
Thank you. We do too.
We agree.
That's good. That's great. Let's see. So I have a slide presentation here. Do you guys have you want me to speak for like 20 minutes or 3 hours or somewhere in between, or, less?
Yeah, I mean, enough to get it through, but we don't need the full rundown. We all receive packets.
Okay. All right. Let me see what I can do here. First thing I'm going to do is try and figure out how to share my screen with you. And that may take me a second because I'm scrambling to get the Zoom icon to show up again. What? Wow, heck smack. Let's see. What is happening here? I apologize. This is not how this is supposed to go, but well, I'll do my best to just go with what I got on the start my video. There, maybe that helps. I don't know. This technology stuff is, I don't know about you guys, but it always wins over my attempts at managing it. So I'm looking for the opportunity to share a screen, and I'm still not seeing that.
Should be green button down at the bottom center of your Zoom.
Yeah, if I can get the right. There it is. My whole Zoom icon turned into a little teeny tiny box. All right. Now I think I can pull this off here.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
Just don't click off of it.
Right. Let's see. So then this is the last thing I need to do is get the slide presentation. Okay. So I will start with just a brief explanation of what it is that we do as auditors, and I'll try and be very brief on it, although it's absolutely the most fascinating stuff that you guys will ever want to hear. But if I go over by more than an hour, it'll probably, I'll lose you somewhere along the way. Anyway, so with audits, first of all, this is a financial statement audit. And that's our goal is to issue a report that says that the financial statements are without material misstatement, which you'll see in a minute. That is what our report says to you, any of the readers of the financial statements. We start off by asking a lot of questions so that we get familiar with the processes there, understand what risks there are in errors in the financial statements actually occurring. And we have to do our own assessment of risk as to where we should spend our time looking at various different elements of the financial environment there. We examine a lot of different records. We do expenditures of payrolls, payroll and accounts payable. And we get verifications, confirmations of account balances, like your bank account balances. You look at the payroll liability balances, the capital asset and long-term debt balances, and a wide range of other things. And ultimately, we have to do some testing for various different things, testing being a wide range of things that can include more inquiries or examination of records or analytical procedures where we just look at, for example, your budget compared to the actuals or prior year amounts versus the current year amounts. And then our task is to issue reports once we do all the field work, all the audit work. And GASB, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, requires that we issue the main report, the report that's on the front or at the front of the audit report. There's a report at the back of the audit report required by the Oregon Secretary of State. And also at the back are the single audit reports, which are not included, if I remember right, in your guys' packet, because we are still trying to wrap up the single audit. And I'll talk about the single audit in just a minute. There are a number of other things that we may need to do within those reports, and we'll talk about those in a bit of detail here in just a second. But the things that we do that are not necessarily part of the audit, but that we typically help with on most all the audits that we do in the state, is assist in preparing the financial statements. And that we do that and have to be very careful about maintaining our independence because we don't want to be auditing ourselves. So we prepare what we consider to be a proposed set of financial statements and let the staff review it and make any suggestions for anything that should be different. And then they can adopt it as their own and we can audit that. That is a common situation amongst all the audit firms and all the governments in most of the cities and school districts around the state that get audited. But it's a not technically part of the audit, so that's something that we do. Let's see. So looking at your audit report, your auditor's report on page I of the financial statements, your guys is a little bit different in that we have different sections of the financial statements that are unmodified. And one section, the governmental activities, which we consider to be a qualified report. And the reason that we have that is because the district in the past and at this point in time anyway, we've decided not to report on 3 relatively new accounting requirements standards. And that has to do with OPEB liabilities. OPEB is other post-employment benefit liabilities, and lease liabilities, and sometimes lease assets. And then this thing called SUBITAs, subscription-based information technology agreements. And there are assets and liabilities related to those things as well. And it's quite a bit of work to get those amounts. The OPEB liabilities, PERS provides one set of numbers, but then there's another set of numbers that has to do with the district's health insurance benefit paid to the employees, the future cost of those benefits. And those are prepared by an actuary that the district would have to pay if you wanted to have that value show up in the financial statements. It's relatively insignificant amounts, to be honest, relative to the other amounts in the financial statements. But at this point anyway, the district in the past, and we just went with what was done in the past, talking with Amanda about the choices there. And those three things were not included in the finance statements. So we have to do what's called a qualified opinion on the governmental activities section or statements in the finance statements. Those have nothing to do with the budgetary numbers. They're not part of your budgetary accounting. They don't end up affecting your fund balances at all. Just for the first two statements of the financial statements, which are the full accrual statements. The rest of the financial statements are get an unmodified report, which is the best that we can do in terms of calling it a clean audit, if you will. Unmodified means clean. So that's what's going on with that first report there. So other than those few items there, it would be what we call a clean report. Talked about the single audit a little bit before. The single audit is required by the federal government. At least at this point, it's still required by the federal government. When any non-federal entity expends more than $750,000 of federal awards in the fiscal year. That process is pretty complex in that there has to be a SEFA, a schedule of expenditures of federal awards presented, and Oregon Department of Education requires that that schedule be included in the financial statements, whether a single audit is required or not. But essentially, the single audit reports are saying that that schedule is without material misstatement. But it also talks about internal controls and deficiencies in internal controls related to two different things. First of all, related to the financial reporting, and in particular, the financial reporting related to the accounting of federal awards. The second report has to do with the compliance requirements related to the major programs that the district has expended federal awards for. And in doing those or issuing those reports, we're required to do a fair number of assessments of risk related to non-compliance and non-adequate financial reporting. And then we have to test for deficiencies in internal controls that are designed to minimize the risk of errors in financial reporting and compliance of those awards. It gets to be a lot of work and ultimately requires us to take quite a bit of time to examine grant records and expenditures of grant records and a variety of different compliance elements that are unique to each of the different grants that are part of the major programs. Ultimately, then, a report has to be filed with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse, and that needs to be done within 9 months of the end of the fiscal year. So we have until March 31st to get that done. Ideally, we would issue that report at the same time we issue the rest of the reports, but it's not required that we do that. We just have been I will say overwhelmed with the amount of work that we've had to do in the way of single audits, mostly because of all the COVID money that hit all the schools and local governments. And so what used to be maybe 20 to 30% of our audit clients being subject to a single audit, it was more like 80% of our audit clients that required that. And so we just have kind of been overwhelmed with that for the short term at the very least. And we're hoping that in the very near future, we will be caught up with those that work and those reports and be able to issue reports for both the financial statements and the single audit at the same time. So looking at the financial statements is kind of a challenge if you haven't done it much. There's a lot going on there. The audit report is towards the beginning, and like I mentioned, it describes in detail the types of the level of report, unqualified or modified, and then it describes a whole bunch of other processes and what our responsibilities are, what your responsibilities, and then a couple of pages of detailing out what exactly we are issuing our reports on and what we are not. There are different sections of the financial statements that we don't necessarily issue a report on, saying that that section is without material misstatement. The first main section of the financial statements is called the management discussion and analysis, usually somewhere around pages 1 through 10 or 11. That's a great overview of the financial statements and gives you a summary description of what's going on with the district, and including a look into the future in relation to, in regards to the budget and the economic situation in the future. The basic financial statements are two different sets of financial statements. I mentioned before the government-wide financial statements. Those are the statement of net position and the statement of activities. We'll look at those briefly in just a minute as well. Those are based on full accrual financials, or full accrual basis of accounting. And so you'll see on there things like capital assets and long-term debt that don't have anything to do with your budget accounting, and do not appear on the next two set or next group of financial statements, which are reported on the modified accrual basis of accounting. Modified accrual generally leaves out long-term debt and capital assets. Its focus is more on the current available resources model. So what it considers, what the GASB considered to be more or less cash basis, but accruals are in there, those that are going to be cleared in a current period of time. So 60 days is kind of their basic rule for that. So accounts payable are usually cleared within 60 days. Payroll liabilities usually cleared in 60 days. Receivables are usually cleared in 60 days. So you see all those, but long-term debt's not, so it's not part of that. Capital assets exist for a good long while, usually, so they're not part of that. And the rest of the financial statements are also on modified accrual basis of accounting. So when you look at the required supplementary information, which is behind the notes to the financial statements, you'll see the general fund budget versus actual. That's reported on a modified accrual basis of accounting. Then all the other budgetary schedules are included in the supplementary section. You'll see a few other reports, some debt schedules and state reports that are in the other information section. Those state reports are required to be included in the financial statements by Oregon Department of Education. We include the debt schedules and the details of all the future payments. We've always thought that that's not a required part of the financial statements, but we've always felt like that was a good thing to include in the other information section that allows people to really look at the future debt amounts that the district has. There's a section for legal and other regulatory reports that includes the report I mentioned that required by Secretary of State. And then when it's ready, the single audit section is going to be part of those financial statements or the financial statements as well. Once we get that work done, we'll reissue the financial statements with the single audit section as part of that. But we should have that done in the next month or so. On page 11, you will see the statement of net position, and that is the balance sheet, if you will, of the district. It includes the assets and liabilities and net position of the district, along with two other relatively new additions to the world of accounting, deferred outflows of resources and deferred inflows of resources. You'll notice in that upper section, the capital assets is the larger numbers there. Keep in mind that capital assets is an estimate, the historical cost when estimated historical cost when the actual historical costs weren't readily available back in the year 2000 when we had to start including that information in these financial statements. Then the liabilities, you'll see the net pension liability down at the bottom of the liability section. Largest number in that area, and that too is a very significant estimate, as are the pension related deferred inflows and outflows. Those are provided to us by Milliman and Company, which is the company that Oregon PERS hires to do the actuarial work of creating these values, of estimating what the future liabilities and deferred amounts are. So those are all part of the government-wide financial statements that are not, again, part of your budgetary accounting system, but does give you a better picture in some respects of what the district's net position is, financial net position is. The next statement is a statement of activities, the companion of the statement of net position. This is the other statement that is on the full accrual basis. It's like a profit and loss, kind of weird and hard to read if you ask me. It starts off with expenses at the top, which is unlike a profit and loss. Revenues are usually at the top, but we have expenses. Then we have program revenues, which includes charges for services and most of the grants that you get, state and federal grants, calculating out a net cost of those programs, if you will. Then we bring into play all the general revenues, the property taxes and SSF money that you get from the state, considered general revenues because they aren't tied to any one program. You can spend them how you want, more or less. Occasionally there are some special items, gains and losses on the sale of assets and such, and once in a while we have a prior period adjustment. But ultimately, what you had for this last year was a $500,000 reduction in your net position. That can result from a lot of different things, but not exactly a significant amount and not anything that I would worry about necessarily either. The last thing we're going to do is look at one of the budget versus actuals. This one is the general fund, back on page 52. You're probably fairly familiar with a report that looks something like this. The first two columns are the budgetary amounts, the original budget that you guys adopted, and then the final budget, if there were any changes, they would be reflected here. Changes that you would have made with appropriation transfer resolutions or supplemental budget resolutions. In your guys' case, there were no changes, so those numbers are identical. The actual balances in that third column there, and similar to what we saw in the net change in net position, there's a net reduction in your guys' fund balance of $590,000. Your ending fund balance of $466,000 or $4,655,000. If you look at what you had in total revenues, just a little bit shy of 10 million. The fund balance for the ending fund balance leaves you about enough to operate 6 months or so if you had no other additional revenues, just as kind of a way to think about what that fund balance could do for you if it needed to. But anyway, and then the last column, the most significant area there, as far as I'm concerned, is this variance related to expenditures. If you were over expended, we would see a positive number here and we would have to have a little conversation about that, but you guys were good and didn't go over budget anywhere. So that is it in a nutshell. I hope it was brief enough, but thorough enough for you guys to get a sense of what we do and how things went. We did again really appreciate working with Amanda and just it was a good audit all the way around. That's what I'll leave it with. So, any questions?
Questions for Steve? No? We appreciate it. We're glad we passed and are doing well, and thank you for all your hard work.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. And to those of you on the board, thank you for your volunteerism. I like to tell all the board members that I speak with throughout the state that you guys are not getting paid enough for what you do there at your job there. So go ahead and give yourselves 100% raise. And yeah, it'll fit in the budget just fine. So you should be fine.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Well, I appreciate your attentiveness. And if you do have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now or anytime in the future. And we do appreciate your guys's the opportunity that you've given us to do this work.
Have a great evening.
All right. You as well.
Thank you. Luckily, it works real well.
Right.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. We are going over to enrollment.
Still staying pretty steady. The elementary's keeping us afloat. They keep coming. Yep.
Pack them in.
Got a family, what, 2 sets of twins and then yourself family of 5. Started.
Awesome.
And then anything in the district at a glance, I just wanted to highlight a couple things that aren't in here. Like I was saying earlier, our nutrition program, we used to get 90%. We just got word that we're actually getting 100% back for our
Awesome.
It doesn't make us make any money off of the food program, but it definitely will help with the dent that we have. So that was nice, and we get a little bit of back pay on that, not a lot, but some, so that's exciting.
Feed the kids.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up, so it's no shock, and I did reach out to each parent today. I didn't get a hold of all of them. I got a hold of all but one, but I did leave a message for the one I didn't get a hold of. And after Becky and I had a meeting with the ESD today, we will be bringing our K4 high school's kiddos back next year. The ESD is looking at a huge increase that would be $62,000 a kid. That would put us over to about $600,000 next year just for that program, and we believe that we can do it in-house and save money, but also offer more variety and more options. Plus, I know it will make our families happy that they're not on the bus 30 minutes going that way because they are our littlest people. So I wanted to make that announcement that that's the direction that we will be looking to go in. We don't have all of the things, all the ducks in order yet, but we'll open the position tomorrow for next school year. So it'll be the 25-26 school year. It starts in-house, and then it will be published publicly. And then whatever shifting we may need to do, we will need to hire a couple of EAs to go into that classroom, kind of like what we did when we took the 5 through 12. I really think financially it's the best decision for the district in that way, but for staff and students, it's the best decision to have our kids back.
Oh, under the same building, under the same.
Yep. Two years ago. But it was always in the ESD hands. It'll be in Bannon. It'll be Bannon School District program, so it will no longer be ESD program.
I think I read somewhere. About staffing issues next year, they're bringing us in-house.
Well, yeah, because that's a route that we have right now, so that will really help. And it's only a van route. We take them in the van that way, but that will definitely help stretch us. We don't know right now. It's still not known. We do have one student in our 18 to 21, and the ESD isn't quite sure how that will look next year because they're revamping everything. That's why we're looking at, that's a perfect time for us to make the change when they revamp all their programs. We don't know what that will look like yet for 18 to 21-year-olds. So it may be that that also becomes in-house for our district if the ESD can't provide services for that. And so we'll have to work on that as well. So any other questions?
Speaking of buses. Hey, what are we doing over there? I noticed that I saw some dump trucks.
Yeah, it's
By tomorrow, it'll be nothing.
yeah, it's down as of now. Today. Down, and then they're trying it out tomorrow. And that's it, and then it's on the foundation. So we're there.
Excellent.
March, 2 years later.
Hey, yeah, progress.
That's right.
Loving it. Yes, thank you. Notice that you moved our buses and take care of all that. So seeing progress in our town, it's always something to be commended. So thank you. 100 days. Well, we just had our semester end of semester. Everyone survived.
Halfway through the year.
Halfway. And we got 100 days coming up.
January. Yeah, we celebrate it.
Yes. I think where you still can. Hopefully. So
But we're celebrating it.
Oh.
Confident that we made it 100 days.
Is that the time lapse?
Hey, you want to see it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is just today from 12:30 to.
And we have to watch all 4 hours.
That's only 2 minutes.
Share to public. This tomorrow and then.
We can use the chicken song.
That or the Jeopardy.
Adam's like, come on,
Adam's like,
let me help you.
Just for a minute. Water, so he was
Oh,
legit
yeah.
there.
Way at a time.
Water dust down.
in just over 4 hours.
I heard it out at recess. I heard the
I'm surprised we
crunching.
didn't just have the littles just in the other field, just watching the whole thing.
We were cheering. We could see that from the office. That was.
How many more bays are we, what are we doing? What's our build look like in a nutshell?
So it's, just over 100 by 80.
Okay.
And so it's gonna be a little bit shorter than that. But it will double stack buses,
Very
along with, east-west. And there'll be half glass doors, will be opposite colors, so we can actually fit them in. And then in this far corner, there'll be a office, at least 2 offices and a room with a little kitchen stuff.
Well, Brent, this one used to be tall enough.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
We used to have lowrider buses.
Thanks, Adam, for sharing that.
I noticed you guys all did professional development during your in-service. Anybody wants to touch on the awesome things you guys are learning, that's great. I understand. We've learned a lot. See? Great. That's all, my brain's full. You got to watch demos. I'm satisfied.
No, you good?
I mean, I can talk.
Oh, I
You know,
know.
I can talk.
We all just looked at that.
It's fine. No, I can tell you at the middle school, we really focused our professional development time on using the data from our assessments so that we could then structure the intervention electives that we have implemented second semester. And teachers are really grateful for that time because the hard work takes time. It's not the kind of work we can do when we have students in the classroom, it's the kind of work we need to do to prepare for students in the classroom. So we focused on that. And then I know my behavior team, Tina Wyatt, Mariah McMonigal, and myself did some training with the ESD and ODE in a partnership, looking at how we use restorative practices within our alternative workspace and how we can best support students in getting back to the hard work of learning when they need to. And that's just part of our ongoing development of that system. And I can tell you an update on our family information. I did reach out to the 3 families that responded to the survey. 2 of them said, oh gosh, no, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to show up and say thanks for doing a good job and learn if you had something to share. And but they certainly didn't want to schedule a one-on-one because they were happy and felt really comfortable reaching out. One family did ask for a phone call, had some specific questions about the IEP, and I was able to answer those really quickly and to their satisfaction. And so we are moving forward without formal family information nights, but if anyone is asking you questions or asking how to get questions answered, please do send them to me. I'm a great point person. If I'm not the one to answer them, I can put them in touch with the right case manager or whatever the case may be, but
All my notes have been satisfied.
My only other question was for Rowdy, if she had anything she wanted to share with us.
A little bit. There was a fundraiser for the class of 2025, which is the current seniors. They roughly, according to the class president, made about $1,500, which is pretty good, which is really good actually. And then we actually brought back court warming week, which is before winter formal, which is dance that we have pretty much every year. There used to be like 2 years ago court warming, and it's back again. And so we're gonna crown king and queen, the dance, which would be winter formal, which is this Saturday. Prom, the planning for it has been going well with the junior class. And the date has been set, which is April 19th.
We have a theme.
But I don't
Is that
think we're
just an
saying
old
it
person
yet.
thing? Do you guys do themes?
No, we have
Okay.
theme picked out, but I don't know if we're supposed to say it
Okay,
yet.
all right, keep responding.
And then there's senior night to recognize the senior basketball players, the 14th, which is Friday. Besides that, NHS inductions are tomorrow morning, so new National Honor Society members. And leadership sent out their Community 101 invites to nonprofits to apply for Community 101, which is pretty cool. And that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you,
There was
Roger.
something I could just share real quick. I put in the board note that we are doing a mural project.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys read that? Yeah. So I just brought I took a picture of the school. I wanted you guys to be able to visualize what it's gonna look like, because each of the murals are a 4x8 piece of plywood, so they're gonna be big. So they're gonna be on the outside of our school, so you can see these red rectangles. So they're gonna be just below the windows, but they're gonna be, big, and it's all grade level. So the mural artist that I found, her name is Monica Dethridge, and she's done the murals at Pacific View. So she's gonna come in and we're gonna use a couple weeks of PE time. Because we needed to figure out a time where we had each like class, that I wasn't interrupting core content. And so then she came up with this for each grade level. So like the sunshine is for kindergarten. It's so very appropriate age-wise. This is second grade, fourth grade, third grade, and then first grade. And each mural is gonna be 4x8, and it's gonna be what's posted on post. It won't be on the school. Because we don't want like moisture getting back in there and causing problems, but this will all be student painted. Like every kid in every grade will have their hands on this project. And this is being funded by, some of the Jogathon money. And so I gave her our budget and she has quoted in a couple $100 under budget, which is always nice, just in case. So, we're gonna start
It's gonna
this.
go towards ceiling.
That's already in there.
Oh, wow.
And,
Excellent.
and I spoke with, Dr. Guthrie in the high school shop. Us is willing to cut the boards, like, the plywood boards are going to be shaped like what you see here. So they're not gonna be these big rectangles out there. They're gonna be curved to the artwork. And so the shop class is going to, cut those for us and sand them for us. So we have a partnership with the high school. They were like,
From fabrication to finished product.
yes, they were ready to start. And I was like, we don't have the plywood just yet. I just got the quote, so.
With the extra. Be able to make like those salmon plywood so they stick out more.
I figured like you and I could coordinate that, and maybe
Sounds
that
good.
could be a side project that we
Yeah.
could later.
All our extra.
Maybe like some
Time.
motion.
Yeah,
mechanics.
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to that project with your kids, and it includes 100% of our students, which is always my favorite. Yeah. That's some color for.
No, kids that investing in their school,
Say that again?
kids that invest in their school want to be there.
Well, and that's why we'll make sure we get it done before the school year's over, because this is money from this year's Jogathon. I want this fourth graders. Because that happened in the past, just timing wise. So I want to make sure that those fourth graders that help raise money get to be a part of it.
And we're getting flagpole.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the high school.
High school.
Right.
Yeah, so my flagpole's already ready. We're just waiting for installation, which the American Legions, they're doing all the install. They removed the old one. They're doing the new one. And then I also coordinated with Dr. Dockery in his shop class is gonna fabricate a plaque to go with it.
Again, they were ready to start, so we
Oh,
had to
yeah.
scale them back.
Yeah. I was like, let me get approval on the wording first,
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
Then I followed a similar process for the high school. They wanted more of a pass the check type situation, so we're working with Brent to, make sure that it's safe in an appropriate spot. And then again, the shop class will help out as much as the pro concept.
Wait to see those posted.
Really good job. All right, so at this time, I will excuse our admin team. And we will move over to our action items.
Oh, and Amanda, thank you for doing all the finances and stuff. You're amazing. Thank you, that I don't have.
Night, everybody.
There's
I don't-
any money items?
I think
You'll
this
bill-
Okay, bills.
Yeah, you'll wait, yeah.
is first or
You're
second.
doing the action items, right?
Yep, 6.01, bills in the amount of $249,019.16. Is there anyone that needed to abstain? Good on this one.
Yeah. Not that I know of, no plumbing.
All right,
Plumbing's fine. I'm gonna pay the bills.
okay, and that's second. Second. All in favor? Bills are paid. We have the, expedition class field trip request to the Redwoods for Cal Taylor's class. It's gonna be, March 4th through 6th. And 25 students.
Going to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and then you guys all saw the request.
Is there just the one slide? And I think it was one there, it said something about the female.
Should be.
Parent. Of parents.
Good on the expense and all that. Yep. Okay,
They usually pay most of it out of their.
yeah, I think we're only paying 30% of the transportation. Everything else is on grant. Okay, I have a motion for that. I move that we approve that. All right, second. Discussion, all in favor? Okay. Then we have our South Coast ESD local service plan for 25-26. Ladies,
Good evening.
thank you for hanging in there with us.
Yeah.
Some of that other stuff.
Okay, thank you. So thank you to Superintendent Schrader, members of the school board. My name is Laurel Smalley. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning for the South Coast BSD. So on behalf of Superintendent Peterson and the Board of Directors, I want to thank you for inviting me this evening. With me is board member Billy Reeves, and we're here to provide a brief description of the local service plan process and answer any questions that you may have, which is on your agenda tonight. So as an overview, every year the local service plan, or LSP, gets reviewed and approved by the 10 regional superintendents, the ESD board, and then the board of each of the 10 school districts within our region, which, as you know, ranges from Reedsport to Brookings. The local service plan on your agenda tonight is unchanged from the LSP that you approved last year. The plan was reviewed by the area's 10 superintendents. That was this fall. They voted to approve the plan on November 21st. And then the South Coast ESD board unanimously voted to approve the plan at their December 10th meeting. The LSP is designed to provide the maximum flexibility to each of the districts and how they want to spend their ESD resolution dollars. So each district chooses from a menu of services from what they need from the ESD. We call those the tier 2 services. So altogether, tier 2 services comprise about 95% of the ESD's resolution dollars, about 5% being tier 1, or those services that we call the core service plan that benefit all 10 districts. Tier 1 services include homeschool registration, audiology testing, birth to 3 evaluations, and then safe schools programs. South Coast ESD is proud to partner with the school districts to help deliver the highest quality education to your students in a cost-effective manner. And I'm happy to address any questions that you might have. And I can certainly follow up with Superintendent Schrader, Superintendent Peterson with any additional information.
This isn't to okay the services they give us. This is a framework of the services that they will provide us. Amanda and I, they'll give us a sheet that talks about the services that we elect to have, and then we'll choose what we need and how much we need of different things like SLP, OT, those kinds of things, and then that goes back. This is just the framework of the policy. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
So having the tiered services allows us to select the tier 2 menu items and just pick from the menu of what we need instead of paying for a whole bunch of stuff that we're not using. Is the way I understand it.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's look all like this, just outlining what the superintendent said, all the services that.
Okay, excellent. Awesome. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, so I need a motion. John? Dan, any further discussion? All in favor? All righty.
Thank you all. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We have the 6.04 through 6.08 policy, second reading on policies. Need a motion on those. John, Seconds. AJ, any discussion on the second reading? All in favor? Like we get a ton of choice on those anyways. And then we're deleting, 6.09, we're deleting GBEA, HIV and AIDS / staff. We're deleting that section. Vote on that.
About to delete. I second.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay. And then 6.10 to 6.16, first reading of all the revised policies. Okay. Any discussion on those? All in favor? All right. We talked about this, I think, in our last meeting. So an approval for the resolution for surplus gym equipment, is what it was.
The couches that were in there.
Oh, the couches?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, couch. Okay. Gotcha. Whatever did happen with the gym equipment? Did we
So we
get a
went
bid
to
on
big
it?
and no one decided they wanted the whole package and now we're chunking it off for
Working it
little.
off.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that Facebook or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Individual pictures of these.
Yeah.
So we have some lovely couches. If you'd like to bid on them, just check our Facebook page. And then some awesome gym equipment. Check our Facebook page. Can I have a motion on that? Okay. Second. Ron, all in favor?
Oh, okay.
We have our 25-26 budget calendar. Motion on that? Or? Okay. Martha. All right, any discussion on any of these dates or anything?
2 meetings.
I know, and thank you
Man,
all
it is-
for responding
Fill
and
it up.
being willing to do 2 in 1 week.
We'll get it done
Yeah.
in a more timely manner, so. Okay, all in favor? All righty. So at this time, we are, gonna move into executive session. And I'll read this little statement, but do we need a brief recess? Or I'm gonna ask for a 5-minute recess, and then we'll move into our executive session.